We are now narrating Rama Ekadasi. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, O Janardhan, O protector of all beings, what is the name of the Ekadasi that occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Kartika, October, November? Please impart this sacred knowledge to me. The Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, replied, O Lion among Kings, please listen. The Ekadasi that occurs during the dark part of the month of Kartik is called Rama Ekadasi. It is most auspicious, for it at once eradicates the greatest sins and awards passage to the spiritual abode. I shall narrate its history and glories to you. There once lived a famous king named Muchakunda, who was friendly with Lord Indra, the king of heaven, as well as with Yamaraj, Varuna, and Vibhisana, the demon Ravana's pious brother. Muchakunda always spoke the truth and constantly rendered devotional service to me. Because he ruled according to religious principles, there were no disturbances in his kingdom. Muchakunda's daughter was named Chandrabhaga after a sacred river, and the king gave her in marriage to Shobhana, the son of Chandrasena. One day Shobhana visited his father-in-law's palace on the auspicious Ekadasi day. This visit made Shobhana's wife, Chandrabhaga, quite anxious, for she knew that her husband was physically very weak and unable to bear the austerity of a day-long fast. She said to him, My father is very strict about following Ekadasi. On Dasami, the day before Ekadasi, he strikes a large kettle drum and announces, Nobody should eat on Ekadasi, the day of Lord Hari. When Shobhana heard the sound of the kettle drum, he said to his wife, O beautiful one, what am I to do now? Please tell me how I can save my life and obey your father's strictures at the same time. Chandrabhaga replied, My dear husband, in my father's house nobody, not even the elephants and horses, what to speak of human beings, eats on Ekadasi. Indeed, none of the animals are given their ration of grains, leaves, or straw, or even water, on Ekadasi, the day of Lord Hari. So how can you escape fasting? My beloved, if you must eat something, then you should leave here at once. Now, with firm conviction, decide what to do. Prince Shobhana replied, I have decided to fast on the sacred Ekadasi day. Whatever my fate is, it will surely come to pass. Deciding this, Shobhana attempted to fast on that Ekadasi, but he became unbearably disturbed with excessive hunger and thirst. Eventually the sun set in the west, and the arrival of the auspicious night made all the Vaishnavas very happy. O Yudhishthira, all the devotees enjoyed worshipping Lord Hari and remaining awake through the night. But to Prince Shobhana, that night became absolutely unbearable. Indeed, when the sun rose on Dvadasi, Shobhana was dead. King Muchakunda observed his son-in-law's funeral, ordering a large stack of wood assembled for the fire, but he instructed his daughter, Chandrabhaga, not to join her husband on the funeral pyre. Thus, Chandrabhaga, after performing all the purificatory processes honoring her deceased husband, continued to live in her father's house. Lord Krishna continued, O best of the kings, even though Shobhana died because of observing Rama Ekadasi, the merit he accrued enabled him after death to become the ruler of a kingdom high on the peak of Mandarachala mountain. This kingdom was like a city of the demigods, very lustrous, with unlimited jewels set in the walls of its buildings. The pillars were made of rubies, and gold inlaid with diamonds shone everywhere. As King Shobhana sat upon a throne beneath a pure white canopy, servants Excuse me. As King Sobhana sat upon a throne beneath a pure white canopy, servants fanned him with yak-tail whisk. A stunning crown rested upon his head. Beautiful earrings adorned his ears. A necklace graced his throat, and bejeweled armlets and bracelets encircled his arms. He was served by Gandharvas, heaven's best singers, and Apsaras, celestial dancers. Verily he resembled a second Indra. One day a Brahmana named Sharma, Soma Sharma, who lived in Muchakunda's kingdom, happened upon Sobhana's kingdom while traveling to various places of pilgrimage. The Brahmana saw Sobhana in all his resplendent glory, and thought he might be the son-in-law of his own king, Muchakunda. When Sobhana saw the Brahmana approaching, he immediately rose from his throne and welcomed him. After Sobhana had paid his respectful obeisances, he asked the Brahmana about his well-being and about the health and welfare of his Sobhana's fathers-in-law, his wife, and all the residents of the city. Soma Sharma replied, O king, all the subjects are well in your father-in-law's kingdom, and Chandrapaka and your other family members are also quite well. Peace and prosperity reign throughout the land. But, O king, I am astonished to find you here. Please tell me about yourself. Nobody has ever seen such a beautiful city as this. Kindly tell me how you obtained it. King Sobhana said, Because I observed Rama Ekadasi, I was given this splendid city to rule. But for all its grandeur, it is only temporary. I beg you to do something to correct this deficiency. You see, this is only an ephemeral city. How may I make its beauties and glories permanent? Kindly instruct me. The Brahmana asked, Why is this kingdom unstable, and how will it become stable? Please fully explain this to me, and I shall try to help you. Sobhana answered, Because I fasted on Ekadasi without any faith, this kingdom is impermanent. Now hear how it can become permanent. Please return to Chandrapaka, the beautiful daughter of King Muchakunda, and tell her what you have seen and understood about this place and about me. Surely if you tell her this, my city will soon become permanent. Thus the Brahmana returned to his city and related the entire episode to Chandrapaka, who was both surprised and overjoyed to hear this news. She said, O Brahmana, is this a dream you have seen, or is it actually a fact? Soma Sharma replied, O princess, I have indeed seen your late husband face to face in that wonderful kingdom, which resembles one of the demigods' realms. But he says that his entire kingdom is unstable and could vanish into thin air at any moment. Therefore, he hopes you can find a way to make it permanent. Chandrapaka said, O sage among the Brahmanas, please take me to my husband at once, for I greatly desire to see him again. Surely I shall make his kingdom permanent with the merit I have acquired by fasting on every Ekadasi throughout my life. Please reunite us again. It is said that one who reunites separated people obtains very great merit. The Brahmana Somarashama then led Chandrabhaga to Sobhana's effulgent kingdom. Before reaching it, however, they stopped at the foot of Mount Mandarachala at the sacred ashram of Vamadev. Upon hearing their story, Vamadev chanted hymns from the Vedas and sprinkled holy water on Chandrabhaga. By the influence of that great Rishi's rites, the merit she had accrued by fasting for so many Ekadasis made her body transcendental. Ecstatic, her eyes beaming in wonder, Chandrabhaga continued her journey. When Sobhana saw his wife approaching him high on Mandarachala mountain, he was overwhelmed with joy and called out to her in great happiness. After she arrived, he seated her on his left, and she said to him, O dearest one, please listen as I tell you something that will benefit you greatly. Since I was 8 years old, I have fasted regularly and faithfully, and every Ekadasi. If I transfer to you all the merit I have thus accumulated, your kingdom will surely become permanent, and its prosperity will grow and grow until the coming of the great inundation. Lord Krishna continued, O Judishir, In this way, Chandrapaga, who was beautifully decorated with the finest ornaments and had an exquisite transcendental body, at last enjoyed peace and happiness with her husband. By the potency of Rama Ekadasi, Shobhana found his kingdom on the peaks of Mandarachala hill, able to fulfill all his desires and bestow upon him everlasting happiness, like that achieved from the Kamatenu cow. O greatest of kings, I have thus narrated to you the glories of Rama Ekadasi. Anyone who observes sacred Ekadasi during both the light and the dark fortnight of each month is undoubtedly freed from the reactions to the sin of killing a Brahmana. One should not differentiate between the Ekadasis of the light and the dark part of the month. As we have seen, both can award pleasure in this world and liberate even the most sinful and fallen souls. Just as black cows and white cows give milk of equal quality, the Ekadasis of the dark and fortnight and the light fortnight award the same high degree of merit, and eventually liberate one from the cycle of birth and death. Anyone who simply hears the glories of this sacred day, Rama Ekadasi, is freed from all kinds of sin and attains the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. Thus ends a narration of the glories of Kartika Krishna Ekadasi or Rama Ekadasi from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana.